Statement of Veronica Dean regarding a book she didn't order. Statement taken in written format, 20th of October 2021. Audio recording by Jack Scribson, Head Archivist of the Magnus Institute, London. Statement begins. First of all, I want to thank you for letting me write this down rather than recording it directly. I understand that this only causes more work for you, and I really appreciate being allowed to avoid speaking into that tape recorder. Trust me, my insistence will make sense soon. I promise. So, I suppose this all started last month, when I received a parcel on my doorstep. I had just ordered a book from the internet, so that's what I assumed it was. There wasn't a name on it, which I suppose should have set off some alarm bells, but I guess I just wasn't thinking about that when I took it inside. I'm the only person who lives in my house, and it absolutely was on my doorstep, so there wasn't really anyone else it could have been for. When I opened it, I saw that it was definitely a book, but it absolutely wasn't the book I'd ordered. It was old. Very old, bound in what looked like uncured leather, but it was dry when I picked it up. Not crackly, breaking your hands dry, but just left in the airing cupboard, slightly stiff dry. I flicked through it, and I immediately saw names, times, and ways of dying. Now, I've watched Death Note. What anime fan hasn't? So my immediate assumption was someone was pulling a practical joke. Looking back, of course, if someone had, they probably would have gone to some effort to actually make the book look like it does in the show. Anyway, I kept looking through until I noticed names in the future. One of which was of a close friend of mine, Timothy James. Ha ha, I thought. Good prank, Tim. I called him up and told him it was very funny. But he was adamant that he hadn't sent any book, and when I looked back to it, I was forced to conclude that it wasn't really his handwriting. In the end, I left the book on my shelf and forgot about it. It was the next week that forced me to remember about the book. I got a phone call from Tim's daughter, Mary. Tim had been stabbed in a mugging gone wrong and died in the hospital. I'm sure you can tell where I'm going with this, but the book was completely accurate, down to the date and cause of death. That's when I started digging into it, looking at the very front of the book. Except I couldn't. Every time I thought I'd reached the front cover, another 15 or so pages seemed to get added. I even tried completely closing the book and opening it to page 1. As soon as I blinked, there were another stack of pages on that left-hand side of the book. I started Googling the names and the dates. Lorraine Carpenter, 1986, suicide in her own home. Peter Trist, 2001, car crash after a birthday party. Edward Smith, 1436, execution as punishment for continually robbing the local tailor. Every name I checked and cross-referenced with obituaries I could find online, and sure enough, they all lined up. That's when I did something I know I shouldn't have. But when you're given the temptation, could you resist flipping to the last page? So that's what I did. I flipped to the last page. Veronica Dean, shot in a bank robbery gone wrong, December 13th, 2021. Naturally, I immediately changed banks and set a reminder on my phone to not go to the bank that day. As I'm sure you can imagine, when I checked the book, the last page had changed. Veronica Dean, broken neck after falling out of a window. November 16th, 2021. I quit my job and vowed never to go into a multi-story building until that date had passed. My house is a bungalow, so there was no danger there. Yet again, the last page rewrote itself. Veronica Dean, hit by a car after giving a statement to the Magnus Institute. October 20th, 2021. So now you can understand why I insisted on writing my statement down. You cannot defy the book, and I didn't want you to try. I imagine you'll have been the last person I talk to before I meet my death. I'm sorry about that. I'm sure the police will have questions. See you on the other side. Statement ends. See you on the other side. Oh, shit!